are here, guys, to talk about too much of a good thing. If you've heard that before, it's kind of a common phrase.
Mm.
And a lot of us think, if something's good for us, then more of it must be better. And that can be exercise, food, um,
Even water or
water,
vitamins.
wine.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that. Oh gosh, I think it was a few years ago. The big thing that came across on the media was wine is heart healthy. So if wine is heart healthy, then one glass is good. So more must be better. Uh, anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today is too much of a good thing. Um, Moderation and things like that. So hello, Rachel. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I've been thinking about this topic a lot and trying to um, kind of assess in my life and in my, over the years, like what are some things that I've seen that I've thought have been like a good thing in my life. And so I've tried to like do more and more and more. And then maybe even some things that I see that my clients struggle with, or just kind of like the general population. Like you said, something is on the news and people are like, I remember when coconut oil was like
Yeah.
new and on the scene.
Yeah.
It was like that if you ate coconut oil, then it would like speed up your metabolism and you would lose all this fat. But as we know, like if you were to just eat like a jar of coconut oil in a day, then that's a lot of fat.
Yeah.
that would that would
Moderation.
Yes, moderation. So that's kind of like the point that just like kept coming up in my head to like drive home. But kind of one of the first things that really, besides that came to my mind was exercise.
um,
And I feel like it's even hard to know like what is too much exercise. If it's good for me, the more that I exercise, the better that should be for my health, the better I'm going to look, the more muscles I'm going to have, the quicker I'm going to lean out. That's a pretty logical way of thinking. And it seems like, why should I need to rest? Like if I'm eating every day, shouldn't I have to like work that off every day if I'm going to eat this certain way? So I think there's like a lot of things that seem logical for people to think, but
yeah, absolutely.
when kind of what's going on in our bodies when we exercise, then it helps you to understand why that can be too much if you overdo it.
Yeah, I agree.
What's kind of your thoughts on that, Jen, as far as
Um,
over?
well, I kind of go over this with my clients frequently, and I'm thinking you had said something about exercise specifically and how you know I'm trying to figure out how you worded it, but anyway, how if it's good for me, then more must be better. And so I know we talk to our clients a lot about really making sure that you get the full benefit of your workout days, which should be about 5 days a week. Um, and then really rest and recovery at least 2 days a week. That's going to really help you not only rest and recover, obviously, but also when you are in those workout days, you're going to really be able to put more effort, more intensity to those workouts and get more benefit out of it, having taken the rest and recovery days. So there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, working out certainly is good, but to get the best benefit, I think you definitely have to practice those rest and recovery days, which is hard for people because working out, if that's something that you do and you enjoy, you want to do it every day. And I do have some clients where I've found I have to dial them back because they actually were doing too much, even not only in the week, but too much every day, maybe 3
Mm-hmm.
workout sessions a day. So there's even something to be said about that. Like, let's make sure that we don't work out too much in one day. How many sessions is okay? How many workout sessions? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I can understand because it almost becomes like an addiction.
It can become that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you get good endorphins from it, and
Yeah, good. That's true.
yeah, it feels good to sweat, and it's like a stress reliever for a lot of people. But depending on like what kind of exercise that you're doing, and even um, how much food you're consuming and kind of how you're fueling your body, and then just whatever you have kind of like as far as your overall health conditions, where you stand as far as your heart health and things like that. There are certain things that you can get away with, or that you're able to do. Your age even comes into play with what is like a good amount of activity level for you.
Right.
But depending on, if it's kind of more moderate exercise, then about, 2.5 hours a day, even like 5 hours a day, which this is in moderate exercise. This is kind of including things too that are, like gardening, or, doing yard work, and just kind of like household chores. So you're still moving throughout the day. This could be walking, things like that. So 2.5 to 5 hours a day of kind of like that light to moderate exercise. About 5-6 days a week is, I would say, a healthy amount that I
Sufficient.
recommend
Yeah.
my clients. If you're doing like really high intensity exercise, like people that do CrossFit and Orange Theory, and like HIIT workouts and things like that, about 1 to 2.5 hours a day is sufficient for that.
Mhm.
You can't really maintain that high level of intensity for very long throughout the day.
Yeah. Um, and something I think that people maybe realize and maybe they don't, we can just kind of talk about cortisol and how that affects your body and how we need it. Cortisol is one of your fight or flight hormones. It's necessary and it's actually good. And when we walk into the gym or any fitness area, or even if we're running or anything like that, we are going to get a release of some cortisol. And
Hmm.
that's a normal response. But the thing is when you are resting and recovering, you're bringing that cortisol level down, which needs to happen because that is stressful on your body to have it elevated. So
Hmm.
you need to have it come back down so that you can get that rest and recovery that you need. Um, so that's super important too. Do you have anything to say about the cortisol levels?
Yeah, with the cortisol levels, I know if they stay elevated too long, then it can cause us to hold on to excess body weight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're exercising a lot, you think that that's going to help you to lose more weight more quickly, but you could actually be doing the
Opposite.
opposite of that and holding on, because your body is in a high stress state all the time. It feels like it's, stressed out, that it's actually causing the opposite to happen. So you'll see a lot more of that in like your midsection, is kind of where that cortisol will cause you to hold on to that excess
Mm-hmm.
body fat. So that is something that you could see, and it could cause you to just feel anxiety and a little more high stress throughout the day. If you're feeling more anxious all the time, it could be because of elevated cortisol levels. Your body's not
Yeah.
having that relaxation that you need.
Right. I think it's a really good, um, actually, I have a really good example of this. I had a client probably about a year ago who I was having difficulty with her losing weight. We really were having a hard time, and through interview and talking to her, figured out, wow, she is working out way too much, per day, per week, just too much. It was excessive, and so we dialed that back quite a bit. Reluctantly, so she did not want to, and I understand. But just asked her to kind of trust the process and let's just dial it back and do more of, let's kind of embrace the 5 days a week and let's do an hour and a half. Let's not do the extra hour of cardio session every single day. Let's dial that back even. Let's do some weight training and things like that. And let's really exercise that active rest day and then that full rest day. And what does that look like? What does that mean? Um,
Mhm.
which a full rest day is doing nothing really. I mean, I don't want anybody like taking a walk in the park or um, getting on a bike or I mean, just it's a full recovery rest day. And active rest would be like walking your dog or, you know, taking your kids to the park or something, just very mild activity. But anyway, once
Mhm.
she instituted that it was really quick to get a result from that. Probably within 3 to 4 weeks, we noticed the weight was started falling off. Um,
Wow.
and that was with the nutrition that we had her on. and decreasing her activity, things started to change. So it was really cool to see. And she was like very happy. Actually, she was like, I don't have to do that extra hour of cardio every day. And wow, look what's happening. I didn't need
Yeah,
that. It was too much of a good thing. So,
absolutely. Which, like we've said, seems kind of counterproductive, to eliminate exercise. But our bodies know better than we do what we need. And so
yeah,
listening to them and just taking care of them in the way of even just letting them rest and rebuild and regenerate cells and all of these things that happen when we are in a rested state. So, finding that balance with your exercise and your rest is important. And so that's, like
totally agree.
as coaches, we try to encourage that with our clients for sure.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that I thought about too was even water is something that I think a lot of people probably struggle to get enough water in, but there are cases where, people can be over consuming water, which is just one thing that I was like, I want to touch on that for people that, may be curious, like how much water should I be drinking? And is there too much water? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, but yeah, kind of depends
Yeah.
on your activity level that day. I mean, obviously, it depends on your body weight too and composition. I mean, that does play into it, but then also the weather outside, the heat, your activity for that day, how much you are expiring. So, yeah, definitely makes a difference. It depends on the activity and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I encourage people to listen to their bodies as far as, you can tell when you're a little thirsty, you feel like your mouth is dry. There's other things that let you know as far as, you may have a headache or you may feel tired. You may even feel hungry and think that you're hungry, but it's actually thirst. So
Absolutely.
there's some indicators that you need water, but, the general guideline and recommendation is half of your body weight in ounces. But like you said, depending on your activity level that day, it could be more than that. But making sure that you're getting half your body weight in ounces, and making sure that you're not getting too much, because signs of or what it means to over consume water is hyponatremia, which means that there's decreased sodium levels in your bloodstream, and so your cells are flooding with water, and that can cause a kind of a toxicity for our bodies. So just
Yeah, I
something
think
it
that's
does.
a good point too that you brought up is the hyponatremia. So when you are drinking too much water, you're diluting your system. It's just too much, and so it's lowering the amount of sodium that you have in your body, which can really affect a lot of your systems. So I think it's important too. Maybe we can talk about when you are replacing water, especially in the summer or during intense activity. When you are replacing water, it's not just about replacing the water, because when you um, are sweating, you are getting rid of more than just water. You're getting rid of electrolytes, trace minerals, and things like that. So it's really important when you drink water to also replace those back so that you're not depleted in those. So one good thing that I try to tell my clients to do is, it's pretty simple and it's pretty inexpensive, but I keep Himalayan salt in the pantry. And so I put a little Himalayan salt and some lemon in my water. Lemon's going to detoxify your liver, and Himalayan salt's going to replace those electrolytes, a lot of those trace minerals that you're losing. So that's just like a really good, inexpensive way to get that back. And if people are wondering, like, well, how much? Because we want to make sure that people don't do too much.
Yeah.
About a teaspoon per 8 to 12 ounces is good, and it's actually makes the water taste really good. It's not super
Mhm.
salty or anything like that. I would not use table salt. I would use pink Himalayan salt. Is going to give you the best benefit, because you're going to get those trace minerals like potassium, magnesium, things like that. So
Mm. Yeah, it's homemade Gatorade, which without the
yeah,
sugar.
yeah, without the sugar, you're going to get some of that. Yeah, that's a pretty good choice.
Hmm.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great option and a great recommendation that I've told a lot of my clients too. And like you said, even the taste is good. Our bodies kind of crave a little bit of that saltiness. It's more hydrating when you actually drink it. You can feel that it actually is a little more satisfying and more hydrating.
It's absolutely
So,
true. Yeah, it's good. It's not a bad thing.
mhm.
What about food, Rachel?
Food, I know this is kind of, oh, sorry, that was weird. My screen went away from me.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, did
You're still there.
it end? Technical difficulties. Um, so food, yes. This is kind of big one, obviously, dealing with nutrition. Um, in general, we can consume too much food, just in general, the amount of calories that you're consuming. Our bodies require food for fuel, for nourishment. We need that to sustain life. So we have to eat, we need to eat, but there is an extent where you can be over consuming, and it can cause us to gain weight. And our bodies only require a certain amount to perform the activities for our day, and also to the things we've talked about, like rebuilding and our muscles and restoring and all of these cells and functions that we have going on in our bodies, that we can reap all the benefits from a certain amount of food, but then from there we're just kind of holding on and storing it up that we don't need. So just in general, consuming too much can be an issue.
Yeah, I agree. There's certain foods that people, uh, the media, the Instagram, Facebook, whatever, friends or books or whatever can tell you, okay, this food is great for this and it's great for this and it's gonna like be the best thing ever. I'm trying to think of an example of a food that would fall under this category. If you can think of one, let me know. I'm racking my brain. I mean, avocados is one. Avocados are great fat. It's good for you. So should we eat like 5 avocados a day? Probably not. Um, but in moderation, it can be really beneficial to you because it's got really good, healthy fat. Can you think of another one?
Well, one that I thought of was like the cruciferous vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, things like that, that are super beneficial. I mean, they provide lots of
Mm-hmm.
nutrients and fiber. There's lots of good water in those vegetables too, to kind of be hydrating for us. But even if you consume too much of that, there is a compound in those vegetables that actually prevents our bodies from being able to absorb iodine like we need to. So that's just kind of like one specific example of over consuming a certain type of vegetable that can actually interfere with our body's ability to absorb nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, because they were taught, there's examples of you eat these things, you eat them like steamed, roasted, however, but then a lot of people make green smoothies and kind of like pile all of that in as well. So that's an example of a vegetable, but I think even nuts can be something that it's good to consume nuts because of the good fats in those, and there's some protein in that too. But over consuming can also cause a little bit of toxicity from the minerals in those nuts as well.
I think you brought up a good one, fiber, because fiber is good for you. It's nature's broom. It cleans out your gut. It's really good for your system. But a lot of times we put our clients on fiber, not restriction, but a fiber goal for the day. But if you get too much fiber, you can be bloated, gassy, and it can cause a GI or gastrointestinal symptoms that are unwanted.
Mm-hmm.
So too much would be not good. So sometimes if I have a client that is reporting those issues, that's the first thing that I'm looking at is let's go back to your food diary and see over the course of the week, like what was your fiber at? And I had a client the other day that's been hitting like 60 grams a day and having a lot of discomfort. So that's one thing that we're really working on this week is watching the fiber intake, and the foods that she's choosing aren't bad. It's just too much of what
For sure.
it's too much for her body. So
For
I
sure.
think that was a good example too. So I wanted to bring that up. What about supplements? Because that's a big thing right now. There's a supplement for everything, and it's going to fix everything. This supplement's going to fix this, and this one's going to fix this, and you
Mhm.
can kind of get really bombarded with supplementation, which is not a bad thing. I definitely have some supplements in my cabinet that I take every day. Um,
Mhm.
but what do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I agree. I definitely think that their supplements can be necessary and can be really beneficial, especially kind of in this day and age, the way that our soil is. There's a lot of things that are lacking in the soil that used to be
Mm,
there, just as far as vitamins and minerals and those nutrients that our bodies need. And so there are signs of deficiencies that you may think, okay, I need to be supplementing with some of these vitamins, minerals, and things in order to really be getting everything that you need, because there is recommended daily amounts. But that being said, there are recommended amounts, and then there's too much. So even the bottle will say, this is a recommended, one capsule a day or whatever. But you need to pay attention to, how many milligrams is in it and things like that. And consulting with your doctor would be a really good idea, as far as even knowing how deficient you are. And there can even be an extent to where you're consuming too much that your body doesn't need it. And so it can be causing a toxicity, or even some you're just kind of like peeing it out or getting rid of it in another way. And
mhm.
so you're actually just consuming too much. But in general, the word supplement kind of gives away, like, it should just be supplemental to a good diet. So most
Absolutely. That's a
of
good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
most of what we should be getting should be coming from our food anyways, and then just kind of making up for the lack of.
Mhm. And one thing I can think of right away that most people in this area, centrally, are lacking in is iodine is one of them. And something that I tell people too, a lot of our clients, and I know that you do too, is during, say, trying to think of the months, maybe end of September through April, you should be supplementing with some sort of vitamin D, if not supplementing all year round with some vitamin D. And a good general rule of thumb, of course, always check with your physician, but is 5,000 IU's daily. That's going to help your immune system, because we're not typically during those months, there's more cloud cover. We're not outside as often, so we're not getting that sunshine that produces vitamin D in our body. So um, it's a really good supplement to be on just during those months, but maybe even year round. And then iodine is another one that I'm thinking of, and then vitamin B supplementation. We just don't get enough of all three of those, and I'm sure there's more too. But it's always, I agree with you, always good to check with your physician to make sure that you understand how much you should have, and how much is too much. But even iodine can help your thyroid function properly, um, which again, you would need to check with your physician. So I do agree. We do also recommend for our clients some sort of omega fish oil or something like that, and so it's good to understand how much of that is good. We don't get enough omega-3s in our food. We just don't, unless you live on the coast or something like that, eat a lot of fish. So that's another good supplement to be on, but I don't think that it's necessary to be on 50 supplements a day. And I agree with you. It is a supplement to your diet. Your diet should be where you get most of your micronutrients, and then you pick up the what you're lacking in maybe some supplementation form.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, being able to kind of do your research, talk to your physician, talk to your nutrition coach, and kind of be able to weed out, like, what are the unnecessary supplements. And even if you're taking like a multivitamin, then you might not need to be also taking vitamin C, vitamin B12, like all of these other things. If you're taking
Hmm.
a multivitamin, it should have that listed in there.
True.
I even encourage my clients to take collagen peptides,
Hmm.
and because it has a different amino acid profile in it, so that way you're getting a variety of amino acids, because most of what we're consuming is going to be probably chicken, some beef, and turkey, but in order to get different amino acids. And it's also reaped from the bones of grass-fed cattle, and so we don't really eat bones or bone marrow, so we're not getting all of that collagen from those animals. And so that collagen is really good for our joint health, our skin, hair, and nail strength. And so I just encourage my clients to consume um, the serving size of that a day, which is usually just a scoop of that. It's a powder. It's unflavored. There's
So they've
nothing
got a
added
lot of
to it.
options now that you can find. In a lot of places, it comes in a creamer. It comes in um, non-flavored form. I mean, there's a lot of different options for that too.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's a great supplement as
Mhm.
well. Um, Kind of the last thing that I thought about as far as too much of a good thing. I
And
know
I
I didn't
don't
even
agree
want
with you on this one.
to. I didn't even want to say it as I'm drinking my coffee
Can't
right
even
now.
listen. I can't even. Are you gonna say coffee?
Yes.
No.
I know. A lot of
Okay.
people are gonna hate me right now.
I'll let you talk. Go ahead. Tell them coffee.
I
I disagree. No.
know, and hey, I'm currently drinking coffee, so I'm not hating on coffee by any means. I
Okay,
love my
okay,
coffee.
okay. Okay, let's
I
hear it. What
know.
do you got to
It seems
say?
it seems just like such a terrible thing. But really, there are health benefits to coffee. So,
There are. Let's talk about
as
those.
yeah, exactly. There are health benefits. So, I mean, it can help reduce certain diseases such as liver disease, reduce our likelihood of getting these diseases, liver disease and type 2 diabetes, and also like neurodegenerative diseases. So, with our brain health, like it's actually healthy for us to consume these things. Are you familiar with some other benefits too, Jen, that coffee can bring?
Um, well, I can't think of any right now, honestly. I think you mentioned all of them.
I think
Um,
like overall happiness and joy.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, that's what when I wake up in the morning and have my cup of coffee, I'm instantly very happy. I mean, it does bring me joy. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
sad that we're talking about this, but no, I mean, definitely too much of it is going to bring anxiety because it's caffeine. So if you're getting too much, um, definitely could feel that, and that could be a stressor on your body. It could increase your cortisol. I could see how that would happen. I
Can
know
cause
that.
insomnia too.
Do what?
Insomnia can be
Absolutely true.
a result just consuming too much coffee. It says 400 milligrams a day is a safe amount to consume. So that's about 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, I would
And I can
say.
live with that. I feel good about that. That's about how much I have a day.
Yeah,
I feel good
same
about
here. And I think you
maybe a
can kind
little
of
bit,
tell if you've ever done it. Do it.
maybe a little bit more. This is a very good example of do not do what I do as far as coffee. No, I think I probably have 2 to 3 cups a day. I'm being honest.
Mhm.
I've dialed
Yeah.
it back. I used to have more. But one thing that you could would be a good judge too, and maybe you can speak on this too, but if you do get too much caffeine, it can cause some PVCs, which may not know what that is, but it's just some fluttering in the heart um, because it, you're causing the heart to I don't know if it's causing the heart to pump too fast but anyway, just you're causing irritation in the heart. So you can actually have those PVCs. And I used to drink too much and I did have that experience. So time to dial it back. But also caffeine can be a diuretic too. So drinking too much can actually dehydrate you. So I didn't know if you thought about that too.
Yes, I did. And that's something that I can definitely tell. I used to kind of set a rule for myself that, I could have my cup of coffee, you want to start your day hydrating first. So even drinking
Absolutely.
8 ounces of water before. I've even developed this new morning routine where I drink um, warm water with a little bit of salt, like we were talking about our Gatorade
Uh,
earlier, a little bit of salt and some lemon juice. And so I'll make myself drink that before I drink my coffee, and then,
mhm.
drinking more water before you have more coffee. So you're just making sure that you're not just pounding the coffee and dehydrating your body before you're actually hydrating yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. I think that's really good too. And I do tell a lot of my clients, and you probably do too, this is something to kind of talk about is your vitamins or your supplements when you take them in the morning, to remember to space them out from your coffee. Don't take them with your coffee, because it is dehydrating. And you can maybe speak on this too, but you're going to kind of get rid of the supplementation that you just took within, because after a cup of coffee, within 30 to 45 minutes, you can be getting rid of your supplements by
Mm-hmm.
urination. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree with that, which a lot of people probably haven't thought about that.
Mhm.
But if you're going to be eliminating, then, it's basically not, it's not letting those vitamins have time to really seep into your bloodstream. So
Mhm.
it's basically like you're taking them in and then they're flushing them right out. So if you
Absolutely.
drink supplements with water, that a lot of supplements will actually say drink with a full glass of water, so that it allows your body time to, whether it's in a capsule form or more of like a tablet, it allows for it to break down and kind of, take time to absorb into your actual bloodstream, so your body can really absorb it and use it that way rather than just get rid of it.
Right, which you're just kind of at that point wasting your money. So I know a lot of people don't know that, so I wanted to bring that up because when I do talk to my clients about that, a lot of times they are like surprised by that. They hadn't thought about it. So I think that's important to remember. I usually, if you are going to drink coffee in the morning, I think taking your supplements, with maybe your afternoon meal would probably be good. It seems like, oh, I get up in the morning and I should take my supplements now, but I'm just saying maybe change that up a little bit to get more benefit from your supplementation. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that maybe is a good point to drive home.
For
And then
sure.
coffee, 2 to 3 cups.
I know. I remember when I came to visit you, we had coffee, like we would drive through and get ourselves an iced coffee and stuff, and I was just like, I knew we could be friends when we were having coffee in the morning and then coffee, our second coffee later. I
I
was like, I
know.
knew the friendship was really going to work out.
I know. Iced coffee is definitely my happy. It makes me so
Yes,
happy. And you can make
too.
iced coffee at home
You can.
too. So but just not too much, just enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I know.
I think
So
these are good points.
me too. I was really enjoying thinking about this topic and just the importance of, a healthy life includes balance, moderation, variety. So, even consuming the same exact things every day or doing the same exact exercises every day or, and then doing them to an excessive degree can be problematic. And so I think it just takes, you know, looking at your diet, your exercise routine, the way that your body is feeling and thinking, okay, what am I doing that could be actually detrimental to my progress as opposed to really benefiting me? What can I change up? And maybe
Yeah.
where's an area that I can kind of cut back and see some
Hmm.
better results?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be freeing for a lot of people. And I'm glad that we talked about this today because even I think the biggest takeaway from this whole thing, all of the points are good, but I think the exercise is where that could be really freeing for people to
Mm-hmm.
understand that less is actually more in this area specifically, because I love to work out and I totally understand it. But for your body to get the most benefit and for you to actually even just see progress and muscle gain or things like that, it's really important to take those breaks and not be excessive in this area. That's the one that I feel like I'm really glad we talked about that one specifically. All of the other ones are good too, but that one I think is the best. And I hope that people really take that and run with it. So
Me too. Absolutely. And if you have more questions about it and you're already working with us, then absolutely talk to your coach, whether it's me or Jennifer or Cheyenne or Teddy.
mhm.
And then if that's something that is a new concept for you or you have questions about, then you can contact us. And if you need some more input on that, that we have our personal Instagram accounts, and then also our Manage My Macros and our Facebook page.
Mhm.
Ways to
You can
contact.
you can find our website, which is managemacros.com, and then our Instagram is at managemymacros.com, and then we have a Facebook page, Manage My Macros. So that's how you can find us. You can message us if you're interested in the coaching. Go to our website, managemacros.com. You can click on Meet the Team. You can click on the program so that you can kind of get more familiar with what we do. And we love what we do. We love our clients. We love our job. We love teaching people how to eat healthy and how to have healthy habits with food. And today we're just excited to talk to you guys about moderation, which is key in all areas of life. She's absolutely right. Moderation in anything is going to be better than being excessive in those areas. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good Thursday, and we will be putting some more content up every week. And so we're really excited. Hope you guys like what we're putting out. If you do, hit the like button and then below, and then also you share. We would love that. And then if you have comments, put those below. So anything that you have to say, Rachel?
Yeah, I guess the last thing I would say is if there's any topics or questions that you have, you can even comment those below, and it's something that we can talk about on our weekly chats that we're doing. We love
Yeah.
ideas. We've got lots ourselves. We could talk for hours, but we also like hearing what people would like to know. So
Yeah.
help us out that way too.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a good day, and we will see you next week.
See you, Jen.